Hey, it's Cobra here at MaddenGuides.com, and for this Madden 22 defensive tips video breakdown, I want to take a look at these enhanced blitz setups bring pressure with only a 4-man pass rush. And I want to continue on where I show how the nose tackle can be lined up off the line of scrimmage and we can still bring pressure on the quarterback. And what I'm about to show here, this defense is going to bring a lot of pressure from different points or different directions on the quarterback. So let's go ahead and get right on into it and take a look at the play that we're going to run this one from. And it happens to be the double clamp go out of the 3-4 Cub. This one features 3 defensive linemen, 4 linebackers, 4 defensive backs. The coverage type is zone. The coverage shell is cover 3. The blitz type is zone blitz. The gap pressure is B. The pass rushers are 5 and the pass defenders are 6. Let's go and take a look at those playbooks real quick here. And for most of you guys know, the playbook that I use for the most part, at least the 2 playbooks, are the 3-4 and the Dolphins playbook when I run a 3-4 base scheme. And for this video breakdown, I'm going to go ahead and use the Dolphins. If you're following along with this setup, that's the one that I'm going to go ahead and use. So just keep that in mind. All right, let's go ahead and get right on into it and get on the field and start taking a look at this defense. And we'll show you how to get some pressure on the quarterback. As I've already mentioned, the defense that we're going to run this from is out of the 3-4 Cub, and it's called double clamp go, which just happens to be this defense as you're looking at your screen right here. Let's go ahead and zoom in. That's the play that we're going to run here if you're following along. So let's go ahead and call that. Now, there's one thing that you got to make sure you do with this one is, and that's to go ahead and flip it at the play call screen. So we went ahead and flipped it. So make sure you do that. Let's go ahead and get into the offensive side of things. Let's run this gun bunch spacing switch. And just keep in mind, all the receivers are going out. Later in the video breakdown, I'll actually show you what will happen when a running back stays in the pass block, and that'll be towards the end of the video breakdown. All right, here it is right there. There's the defense as you look at it without making any adjustments at all. I'm going to go ahead and run this. This defense can get some pressure without making adjustments, but you're not always guaranteed. Right there, we actually got some coming from the right inside linebacker. Sometimes he may get in, sometimes someone else might get in, but it's not always consistent. Right there, finally got to the quarterback, but it took about 5 seconds. So just keep that in mind. If you decide not to do anything at all, you're kind of just hoping that you're going to get some pressure. Now, if you want to enhance it, I'm going to go ahead and show you 5 different setups that are going to allow you to go ahead and get that pressure on the quarterback. And the very first setup that I want to show actually is not what's in the title, where I talk about getting a 4-man pass rush and still get to the quarterback. You can actually get a 3-man pass rush and still get to the quarterback with the setup I'm about to show. So let's go ahead and get right on into it. What you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and baseline show blitz. Next thing, you want to take control of this guy right here, which is going to be the right outside linebacker. You just want to go ahead and move him slightly to the outside. Go ahead and call QB contain, switch it back over here. Take control of the, in this case, it's going to be the right end. You want, or excuse me, your left end. You want to go ahead and put him into a vertical hook. And then you're going to switch over to this guy right here, which is going to be the right in, or excuse me, the left inside linebacker. You want to go ahead and put him into a middle read and stay in control of him. So here's what the setup looks like at this point. As you look at your screen here, you've got a 3-man pass rush right here. Now with this setup, what you're looking for is either to get pressure from 1 or 2 guys here. It's going to come from the right outside linebacker or from the right inside linebacker, depending on how things shape up once the ball snaps. So let's go ahead and just run this, and I'll show you what it'll do right here. And here we get the pressure coming off the edge from the outside. That's a lot of times, and I realize that Parsons is a stud, and he's going to do that. But if you go back and look at this one thing you're going to see is that the right inside linebacker actually does get around, and he could get pressure potentially himself. As you look at it, he kind of got to take a little bit of a wider angle, but you can see he does get pressure. Let's go back into this one more time, do the same setup here, and see what happens here. This time, I'm not going to move Parsons this time. I'm going to allow him to go ahead and stay in the same spot that he's at. So for you guys who play in leagues that you're not allowed to move anybody, well, this would be a thing, or maybe you're only allowed to move 1 defender. This might be something you might consider doing. So we're going to go ahead and put the left end in a vertical hook. We're going to go ahead and take control of the left inside linebacker, put him into a middle third, and then we want to move him up into this area. A lot of times I like to move him into this area here. You don't have to do that. It's just to make my opponent think I might be blitzing him off the edge. All right, once the ball is snapped, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and drop him back into this area here. And then I'm just going to hope I'm going to get a 3-man pass rush coming from these guys as you look at it on your screen, those three guys. Now with this setup, generally the pressure is going to come from one or two of them. It's either going to come from the right inside linebacker or the right outside linebacker or the right inside linebacker. Let's go ahead and run this and just take a look at it. And right there, you can see it comes from the right inside linebacker. With that setup, it's pretty consistent too as well. If you're looking just to get a three-man pass rush and looking to get some pressure, providing that the running back goes out, such as what you see on your screen, then this would be a setup that you can consider running right there where you get that pressure. Nice thing about this is, as you look at it, you can see that these two offensive linemen over here are just blocking grass. They're not doing anything at all. And then the other problem is for the center here, he's not able to slide over fast enough and get over and help out and block either the right in or the right inside linebacker. He's too slow getting over, or he gets caught up. See right there, he gets caught up and he's not going to be able to make that block. And that's why we're able to get that pressure. And if you look at this, let's go back one more time into instant replay. Let's kind of zoom out a little bit here and take a look at this. As you look at it, the nice thing about this defense is you can see on your screen, there's the three-man pass rush, but then we get all these defenders here as you look at your screen here, dropping back into pass coverage, which is nice. We got 8 defenders dropping back. In this year's game, because defenses aren't the greatest, the more defenders you can have dropping back, the better off you are. And this is a prime example of something you can do to still get pressure on a quarterback and yet have 8 defenders dropping back. So that's the first setup. I'm going to do one more thing with this one. I'm going to go back into it one more time. Now, I talked about moving this guy out here. You can certainly move him out. I would suggest putting him in QB contain, such as what I showed here. And he won't actually be in that if you move him that far out, but that's fine. And then you can go ahead and put this guy into a vertical hook, take control of this gentleman right here, and put him into a middle read. You can do whatever you want with him. I'm just going to take control of him. I know a lot of you out there like to go ahead and control linebackers, and this guy would be perfect to take away all this stuff in this area here, especially if he was fast and he's agile. You can do a lot of things as far as taking away this. So that's another option for you. So let's go ahead and run this one more time, and we get that pressure off the edge again. So this is just another way of doing this setup. It's a three-man pass rush. Generally can get either the right outside linebacker or the right inside linebacker in to get pressure on the quarterback while dropping 8 defenders back into pass coverage. The second setup that I want to show out of the 3-4 Cub double clamp is one where we're going to bring pressure from the left side of the offensive line and from the right side. So let's go ahead and show you how to set this one up. You're going to go ahead and call base align, show blitz, QB contain. You're going to switch over to this guy right here, which is going to be the left inside linebacker. You want to go ahead and put him into a mid zone, which I'm going to go ahead and do right there. And then I'm going to switch over to the left end right there. And I want to go ahead and put him into a hard flat. So that's what the setup looks like at this point. And with this one, what you're looking for with this is to get 2 types of pressure here for at least 2 points. You're going to look to go ahead and get pressure from this guy right here, which is from the right inside linebacker. We'll shoot through this B gap and apply pressure. And then we're looking to go and get some pressure right here with the manually pass rush, the one that I'm in control of. I'm going to come off that edge there. You guys know if I do the manual pass rush is what I like to do. And then I'm going to come after the quarterback and get pressure right there. So that's the setup. Let's go ahead and run this one and see what happens right there. And we come off the edge and we get that pressure right on the screen as you see it. So this is pretty nice as far as bringing pressure, especially you guys who play in a online franchise. Maybe you're not allowed to move anybody. And then this is certainly a setup that you can run to bring pressure on the quarterback pretty consistently as you look at it. I just want to go ahead and run this one more time for you, and then we'll go into instant replay. So there it is, the setup as you look at it. Same thing, we're just looking to go around the edge with this guy right here, and then to bring pressure off the edge and from the middle as far as up the B gap from the right inside linebacker. Let's go and look at this just briefly in the instant replay so you guys can see it. And as I've talked about earlier, with this one, you still got this offensive lineman. This is going to be the right guard. He's blocking grass again. This guy right here will try to block me. So that's important with this one, that you have somebody with a high pass rush finesse rating where he can get around. For example, Lawrence has got that, so he's able to get around pretty good. Like I told you guys in a lot of videos, the higher the pass rush, if it's higher than what the right tackle or left tackle has as far as their pass block finesse rating is, then generally you're going to be in your favor where you're going to be able to do what I'm showing here. And as you look over here, we also get the pressure coming from this gentleman right there, which is that right inside linebacker. Now, the other thing I did want to point out, on occasion, if you got somebody who's a stud such as Parsons, he may be able to break loose from the left tackle and bring some pressure over there as well with this setup. So this is the second setup that's going to bring you some nice pressure on the quarterback, generally from the B gap and possibly, well, it should always from the outside as long as you do it right, as far as from the left end if you're going to manually pass rush. The third setup that we want to show from the 3-4 Cub double clamp go flip is very similar to the second setup. The only difference is we're going to move the right outside linebacker a little further out wide. So let's go ahead and go through this. Show base align, show blitz, take control of the right outside linebacker. You want to slide him out just a little bit, call QB contain, and that should allow him to still be blitzing with his blitz angle. And then as you look at it, here's this guy right here, the right inside linebacker is now in QB contain, which is fine. At this point, we're going to switch back over to these guys right here. So we're going to go ahead and put the left end in a hard flat, then put the left inside linebacker into a middle read. Again, you can do whatever you want with him. I just prefer to put him in a middle read. Switch back over to the left end, and we're going to manually pass rush him. Let's go ahead and run this, and then you guys will see that we'll get that pressure coming off the edge from both angles. Now, I can't always guarantee it that you're going to get it coming from the right outside linebacker. On occasion, what may happen with this setup is if you don't get pressure coming off the edge from the right outside linebacker, you may see something like this where the left tackle actually blocks him, which is fine because if you've got a edge rush pass rusher such as Parsons, who's got that superstar ability where he can get around, then a lot of times he can get around him anyways. What'll happen is if that does happen, then the right inside linebacker will end up shooting through the B gap and applying pressure in this area here, which is fine too. So we'll get two guys coming in from that side. Now, what we're looking for initially with the setup is to get that pressure from the outside coming from the right outside linebacker who'll get a free blitz, or if you will, have a clear path at the quarterback. And then we're looking to go ahead and manually pass rush this guy off the edge where we get pressure coming from the outside as well. So that's kind of what you're seeing here. But that's kind of the setup right there as you look at it for that one, for the third setup. So that's pretty easy. I'll run it one more time here, see what happens. Kind of just go through it real quick so you guys can see it. Move him a little bit further outside. Make sure he's in QB contain. Let's go ahead and make sure we call QB contain there. There it is right there. Messed up totally on this whole blitz there. But right there you can see we're not in QB contain anymore. Then switch over to this guy right here, put him into the flat, put this guy back into the mid read, and there's your setup right there. So there it is right there. See what happens with this setup and see if we can get that kind of that same thing. So we get that same pass rush pressure coming from both edges right there as you look at it. So that's your third setup from this 3-4 Cub double clamp go flip that I wanted to show that definitely brings some pressure. It's something you guys might be interested in. Just take a look at it, get into the lab and lab that one. Pretty nice setup as far as bringing pressure on a quarterback. The fourth blitz setup that I want to show from the 3-4 Cub double clamp flip is one it's working off of the second and third setups I've shown. The only difference with this one is we're not going to use QB contain. So let's go ahead and get right on into it. The first thing you want to do is you want to go ahead and do base align, then show blitz, and then you don't have to call QB contain. The only thing I would ask of you to do here is just to move this guy out just a little bit towards the left, then switch back over to the left inside linebacker. Go ahead and put him into the middle read or whatever you so choose. I'm going to put him in the middle read. Take control of the left end. Go ahead and put him into a hard flat. Slide him over just one notch. So that's the one thing we haven't been doing, is that we haven't been calling every one of these things we've done QB contain, and we haven't had to move the left end. The reason that we want to move the left end here is if you don't call QB contain, then you have to go ahead and move this guy in, because if you don't, a lot of times these guys will get blocked. And when I say these two guys, a lot of times it'll be this guy or this guy will get blocked and you won't get that pressure. So if you don't call QB contain, you really want to move the left end in one notch. You can also move him into two notches, and that's going to be the fifth setup. The fifth setup and the fourth setup are going to be very identical. We'll talk about that as we go, but let's go ahead and run this and I'll show you what will happen with this setup I'm about to show right there. And you can see right there that we get pressure. And earlier in the video breakdown, I talked about, at least the title, I talked about getting 3 points of pressure. Well, up to 3 points of pressure. This is the example of that, where you can get possibly get 3 points of pressure. But it really depends on a couple things here. First off, for you to get that, you really need to have a pass rush, edge rusher from the right inside linebacker who can do that, or he can get around. In this case, it's going to be Parsons. And then you're probably almost always going to get pressure coming from this guy in a lot of cases. May not always. Something may change up. You may end up not getting pressure for him. Maybe he'll get blocked, and instead the right outside linebacker will get the free pass rush angle at him with this force setup I'm showing. Now, the one thing is consistent, as long as you're in control of this guy over here, and like I told you guys in this whole video breakdown and other video breakdowns, as long as his finesse pass rush rating is higher than what the right tackle's pass block finesse rating is, you're going to get around him as well. So you're going to get this pressure on the quarterback, what you're seeing on your screen here. So that's the one thing I want to talk about. I do want to stress about this is the 3 points of pressure. That's how you're going to get it, but it's not something I can say you're going to get every single time. So that's going to be the fourth setup. We'll go ahead and get into the fifth setup next. The fifth and final setup I want to show here is one that I like to run to help prevent the quarterback from rolling out to the right side of the screen there as you look at it. So this one's very similar to the fourth setup. You're going to see a couple adjustments that I'm going to make with the left end that are a little bit different, but other than that, it's pretty much the same. So base of line, show blitz, take control of the right outside linebacker, move him out further out to the left of your screen, switch back over to the left inside linebacker, put him into a middle read or whatever you so choose. Take control of the left end. Now this is the one difference here. You're going to put him into a vertical hook this time, and then you're going to slide him in 2 notches to the left. Now I realize you might think that this takes a bit of time to set up. Trust me, if you do it fast enough and you get doing enough, you know how to do it. And most of these setups I've been showing are fairly quick setups. And obviously, if you don't want to do all this stuff, the first, second, and third setup are a little bit faster because you don't have to slide the left in at all. All right, so there it is right there. There's the setup. Now with this one, when I was talking about earlier about preventing the quarterback to roll out, Fitzpatrick here, he's not going to roll out, obviously. But if you're playing against a fast quarterback, what's going to happen with this setup is once the ball is snapped, pretty much you're always going to get some type of pressure coming from this guy right here. The right outside linebacker should get a clear path, assuming that the running back is not staying in the pass block. As long as that running back's not staying in the pass block, he should always get a clear path. And then with the guy that we're in control of, we're going to go ahead and manually pass rush him. The one difference is he's going to drop back into this area here, and then we're going to manually pass rush to the outside here to prevent the quarterback from taking off and running over in this direction here. That's the idea of that. We'll at least be in position to go ahead and prevent that. So let's go ahead and snap it, and you'll see what I mean as we do this one right here. See right there? I'm not looking to sack the quarterback. I'm just looking to keep that quarterback from rolling out to the right. If he rolls out to the right side, then I should be in position most of the time where I can at least have an attempt to go ahead and sack him. You can see I'm pretty wide out there. I'm not looking to rush the quarterback with this setup. I'm just looking to take that away. And I know for the fact that most of the time that running back, if he goes out, then I know that left outside linebacker, or excuse me, that right outside linebacker is going to get pressure. So the worst thing that could happen with this setup, if the running back stays in the pass block, you only have essentially just a 3-man pass rush. I mean, you can call it what you want on this. Let's go back in the instant replay here. I know it looks like 4, but really it's 3 because I'm not really rushing. So right there's the 3-man pass rush I was talking about. You got these 3 guys coming in, pretty much going to get the right outside linebacker. And all I'm doing right out here, more or less, is just kind of spying the quarterback. I just want to make sure that he doesn't take off and run, and I'm somewhere up near the line of scrimmage to the outside so he can't roll out into this direction here. Everything else is the same as far as the coverage is. You still got some nice coverages, fairly nice defense that should help you guys out and prevent that quarterback from rolling out. So those are the 5 setups. Now what I want to do here is we're going to get into talking about what if the running back stays in the pass block. I at least want to show you at least one setup that works against that, or at least most of the time. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. I want to close out this video breakdown first off with showing you guys what will happen if the running back stays in the pass block. And then I also want to do some things you can do with some other defenses that you might be able to scheme around what I've been showing with the 3-4 Cub as far as having the nose tackle off the line of scrimmage. We'll close that out. Let's go ahead and first show the running back staying in the pass block. I just kind of want to briefly go over this. I will say this, here's the running back as you look at it staying in the pass block. Now with this, a lot of times this running back, he's probably going to pick up 1 or 2 guys. He's either going to end up picking up the blitzing linebacker, which is in this case the right outside linebacker, or you may pick up the inside linebacker blitzing. So a lot of times he's going to pick up one or the other. I can't always guarantee you're going to get pressure from one of those two guys if the running back stays in the pass block. I will tell you this. If you got an elite pass rusher coming off the edge from the right outside linebacker position, a lot of times he will get blocked, but then he'll be able to free himself and get after the quarterback. Now, the one thing I can tell you is what this setup I'm showing here is, we're going to look at the fourth setup that I showed earlier, is that you can always get pressure manually with this defensive end here, this left end coming off the edge. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and do the fourth setup that I showed earlier. I'm just going to go ahead and move him out there. And then we want to go ahead and put this guy into the middle read, switch back over to the left end, and then we're just going to slide him in one notch. So it's basically the same setup I've been showing here earlier as far as from the fourth setup, and you can still get the, get some decent pressure coming off the edge here, such as what I'm showing there. As I said before, I can't always promise that you're going to get this, but that's what might happen for you, where you can get this type of pressure coming off the edge, providing that you got an elite pass rusher. See right there, the one thing about this one, see how the running back slides into the inside? He's looking to block to the inside, particularly that right inside linebacker. So in that case, he's not going to block this outside guy, but you're hoping that he has the ability to get past the left tackle. And he's right there, so you still get that pressure. So that's one thing you can look at from here. And if you were looking at the screen there, you would have noticed, let's go back in instant replay, you would have noticed that I also, while I'm in control of the left end, I also had an opportunity to bring pressure off the outside from this side. So from this right here. And as I said before, worst case scenario with this setup, you only got 4 men that are rushing the quarterback. If they leave the running back in to stay in the pass block, then they really only got these guys they can throw to. So they're taking themselves, I'm going to zoom out just a slide here, but you can see this other guy over here as well. So they got that guy over there. So they got those 4 guys that they can throw to, whereas you got, as you look at it, let's go back and do the numbers thing again here, just kind of looking at the numbers here. Oh, let's clear that out. Looking at the numbers here, you got these 4 guys right here. And then we have, as you look at it, all these guys dropping back into coverage. As you look at it here, just missing somebody over here, but you can see right there's the other one. So you got your 7 guys that are dropping back versus their 4 receivers. So you have the numbers on the defensive side of the ball. And I said earlier that with this game being the way things are, it's still offensively favored. Anything you can do to take and give yourself a little bit of advantage, why not do it? And this is a way of doing it with a 4-man pass rush and having 7 defenders dropping back. Now, the other thing I want to point out as we're watching this, I noticed that these guys are open, but just keep in mind that you can do some different things with this guy here. Remember I told you about the mid-read? You don't have to have him drop in a mid-read. You can have him drop into this here, maybe into a curl hook or whatever. There's some things you can do. You'll have to play around with that and see what's best for you against your opponent and see what works with that. So that's what I wanted to talk about with the running back as far as staying in the pass block. Now, the other thing I want to go into just briefly here is look at some of these other defenses. I'm not going to do anything too much with the setups and stuff, but all these defenses, you can do the same thing here as you're looking through them. You can go ahead and scheme around where the nose tackle lines up off the line of scrimmage. So it's going to give you some nice stuff that you can work with to try to confuse your opponent. For example, let's go into this defense right here. Let's look at this 3-4 cub cover 6. Let's just run that one. We'll run this against a spacing switch. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of do the same thing I did earlier. Notice that the nose tackle comes off the line of scrimmage. If you guys remember that one where I talk about how to get a defender to be a sack master, well, this is a perfect example of that, where you could still do this and have a cover 6 look. So when you get this cover 6, you got, as you look at it, you got a flat defender over here. And then you got this guy playing the deep half. And then you got these 2 guys over here playing, deep 1/4. So with this setup here, it's very similar to what I've been showing from that one where I talked about the Sackmaster one. So let's go ahead and put this guy into a vertical hook. We'll go ahead and slide him in 1 notch. And then we'll go ahead and run this. I'll show you what I mean by that. So right there, we still get this guy a free release. If you remember right, in that Sackmaster video I showed, that guy got a free release and we got after the quarterback. So what I'm trying to tell you guys is go into the lab here. If this is something that's interesting that you think that you might want to scheme around, you can definitely scheme around this and apply pressure on a quarterback and mix some coverages in to try to confuse your opponent with this 3-4 cub with the nose tackle staying off the line of scrimmage. So this pretty much is going to conclude all the stuff I've been showing over the last week and a half, 2 weeks with this. But hopefully this will give you guys something, a base that you guys can use to bring pressure on a quarterback, confuse your opponent, and do some things that maybe they haven't seen. So hopefully this will help you guys out. Hey Madden gamers, if you enjoy this Madden video or any other video, please subscribe to the Madden Guides YouTube channel. And as always, thanks for watching and for your support.